What's up, Gemini? So we're going to start with a card pull and just the description, and then we'll do the reading after, right? And this particular card is from the Herbal Astrology Oracle deck, and this is by Adriana Ayales. And this particular card is Horsetail, with the subtext of patience, endurance, steady focus, period of gestation, trust the process, heightened sensitivity. Whenever you cross paths with a horsetail, you are looking at a member of the sole surviving genus of a once great lineage. Prehistoric horsetail is said to have been giant compared to the remaining species that exist today. The primitive plant, a descendant of large trees from the Paleozoic era, also about 375 to 600 million years ago. These plants emerged from primordial swamps over 100 million years ago, long before dinosaurs walked on Earth. All cultures to which horsetail was native used it as a food and medicine, often cooking it like a vegetable or chewing it raw in the springtime. Horsetail strengthens connective tissue such as skin, hair, nails, bones, teeth, cartilage, ligaments, and even mucous membranes. In ancient times, it was referred to as a bone mender, as it was used to help heal bones and fractures and osteoporosis. Horsetail is ruled by Saturn as strengthening the skeletal systems and connective tissue, and promoting wound healing, hair growth, skin protection, bone strength, all in the ring planet's domain. Saturn also corresponds with the process of minerals within the body, particularly the kidneys, which horsetail also nourishes. Archetypically, Saturn provides us protection, shielding, courage, endurance, patience, self-control, and the blessing of challenge. Saturn, known as Kronos in Greek, is the lord of time and viewed as a destructive, all-devouring force. Yet Saturn isn't as malevolent as portrayed to be, as its energy teaches us self-mastery, the power we are granted once we overcome the cycles of pain and suffering. This is the guidance portion. Horsetail teaches us of the power that lies within patience, and the endurance gained through the hidden blessings of challenge. There is something good in all seeming failures, and although that might not be clear in the moment, time will reveal it. Trust the process. Remember that stubbornness and willfulness are counterproductive to loosening knots. Instead, like the medicine of the horse, ground to Earth's energy and adapt to changes and hardships on the journey. Horse medicine provides us heightened sensitivity and the purity of trust, essential tools to have as we navigate life's journey. Invoke the strength of the horse as a power animal when you need increased psychic sensitivity and intuition. Okay. Think a few things. We'll start with the idea here of, first off, if you guys don't understand that the blessings that can come from particularly things like roadblocks that can be really frustrating, you should definitely understand that, right? The idea of the concept of, the diamond is formed under pressure, and if you guys haven't really come to that understanding, you should. Whatever pressures, whatever hurdles, whatever type of roadblocks in your way, work to overcome that, and that's mastery, right? That's gonna be the awe that really helps people, and or not helps, that helps people in the future go over their particular hurdles, of course, but also it helps you refine and remain resilient, right? we all got this particular thing in terms of our relationship with Saturn we need to come into terms with, but this idea of, for instance, like a good analogy I found is that before your Saturn return, which is around late 20s, early 30s, right, you get this idea of Saturn return. The idea is that Saturn's made a full revolution around the chart at that particular time. And this idea of Saturn return, before Saturn return, let's see, we'll see, we can imagine some kind of like mid 20-year-old hotshot, right? They kind of know everything. They know that they're going to be the, I'm going to make it to the Forbes under 30 because I'm the baddest and I'm the smartest and I'm just the brightest person out there. These people before 30, a lot of times, they don't have respect for Saturn, for time, resilience, focus, just the idea of sustained effort, right? People before a certain age, they don't have that understanding of what it takes to really succeed, right? And if they do succeed, a lot of times you'll see that they aren't resilient in their success. And this idea, for instance, after your Saturn return, you'll see the more seasoned professional, the one that's more reliable, the one that's able to handle much more in their particular field of study. They have demonstrated a pattern. They've demonstrated how they're able to overcome challenges. They understand what it means to face roadblocks and overcome roadblocks. This idea, right, not to say that this applies to every 20-something-year-old, not to say that this applies to every 30-something after, but these archetypes do exist within society. We gotta have that understanding, and that what is the gift of Saturn in your life, right? Because a lot of people will say that they call Jupiter the great benefic. And the thing about Saturn is it actually brings more blessings than Jupiter. It actually is there. You get more blessings from Saturn than Jupiter, and people, the people don't seem to quite understand that idea of roadblocks, challenges, and everything else in the framework of how it can be a blessing. But it most certainly can be, and you should most certainly understand how it is playing out in your particular life. And this idea of kind of what you're able to kind of do, once someone sees you in, let's say they have a wider spectrum of light that they particularly consciously pay attention to. This idea of what, for instance, what we read about horsetail, this idea of prehistoric horsetail being giant compared to the remaining species that exist today. The people that can see in those spectrums that kind of have that understanding, you can be like 4'6", and they will see the giant that you really are, right? They will see that will be something that actually is very much apparent to them when they see you and really see you. So understand that these hardships, these any type of barriers that you need to overcome, realize what it's doing and understand this idea of, for instance, Saturn, travels around the chart. It gets like, 30, or we talked about around like late 20s, early 30s. Then it goes in like, like mid 50s to late 60s, or not late 60s to early 60s or something like that. You start to see it again. But the idea here is that it matures things, right? It solidifies the chart in a lot of ways. So for just another thing, look at where your Saturn is and whatever. I haven't named any of the readings anyway, but the idea here is look at that particular sign for this week, and the idea here is that you have to understand that things aren't going to be blanket success, right? And that's kind of what makes success valuable, right? It's because it doesn't come easy in a lot of cases. That is really the value that we're talking about when it comes down to being able to obtain things. So whatever you may be particularly working on, understand, and you want to be able to dedicate whatever is needed here, because in the future, if you are faced with challenges, that needs to be something that you're able to overcome. That's the gift of Saturn, resilience. And with that being said, I'm going to end the reading there, I suppose. If anything, have a good week, and I'll see you next week.